it side by side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's going to pounce on it. He's going to try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's Galindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Galindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go to the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes Jungbluth trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down to the braking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging, banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off, then it's going to try and pinch and pinch and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under, Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they got into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing. And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
After 4 rounds of high-speed racing, we head to a track known for its quickness in other ways due to its quick lap times, providing some close and challenging racing. As one of the staples in the Formula 1 calendar is today's challenge, as we visit the Red Bull Ring for round 5 of the Camel GT series. And you will see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello, I'm Craig King, and with me in the booth is Michael de Turk. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Known for its famous battles in Formula One and European Le Mans, Red Bull Ring has built up a reputation for constant action throughout the years. To find out what makes this small but mighty track a favorite to drivers, let's go to our track guide.
Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Located near Spielberg, Austria, this track began life in a much more fast and sweeping format. Having gone through multiple different owners, it eventually was snatched up by Red Bull and has its 3 different layouts you see today. While they range roughly between 1 to 2.5 miles in length, the thing they hold in common are fast straights, hard braking zones, and very few corners. In fact, the longest and most common layout, the Grand Prix course, has only 9 of them. Spots like Remus and Gosser are the most popular corners for overtakes, but both involve dramatic elevation changes. Each have their perils. Remus tends to see drivers make contact when the blind cutback often goes wrong, whereas Gosser tempts you into braking far too late, and the downhill nature shoots cars miserably into the gravel. A few swift bends still scatter the track, with turns like Lauda, Rent, or A1 really testing a driver's accuracy at high speeds. However, most of them don't send you off into the grass. Rather, there is a lot of paved runoff. But they often include some nasty curves most cars will want to avoid hitting, as they've been known to damage suspension and undertrays. A variety of types of racing compete here, with everything from lower Formula open-wheelers to motorcycles, touring cars, and all the way up to Formula One holding events regularly. Set among the gorgeously picturesque Alps, and including great racing on a challenging and history-rich circuit, it's easy to see why fans and drivers are both eager every time they come for a race.
Well, as we know, with 10 corners, this track promises to be a lot of action. And Michael, I think you've got a little bit more of information of what the drivers will be expecting today.
You're absolutely fairly substantial camber change throughout the corner, which GTOs are going to easily keep up with the GTPs on corner exit especially if the GTPs decide to fight into the slower corners, while the GTPs are really going to need to time their corner exits because of some of
the race details right there. 60 minutes. And it is an open setup. There is no spare car. And of course, the drive-through penalties at 17 incidents. And then that disqualification, which hopefully we don't see today at 25 incident points. Of course, with these off tracks nowadays, you rarely see that. So let's just have a quick rundown of the championship battles. And it's been close after 4 rounds. We're a third of the way, through the championship. And you see in the GTP, Timothy Reed does lead Hugh Haycox by 13 points, and Antti Lepisto is just closely there. It's interesting. They all have a win. Hugh has 2 wins as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Just down the rest of the order, you see Fabian just making his climb down, and Laus still there in 5th place. Vove still just a point behind him. It is still very close. How about those GTOs then, Michael?
Yeah, in the GTO driver standings, we see Yuko Leskala continuing his dominant run, although Reed Miller is only 19 points back, with Javier Del Olmo in 3rd with 2 points behind Reed. Then we
still nice to see this late in the CSA. Late, it's only, like I said, we're a third of the way through the championship. Still nice to just see how close it is with wins aplenty. Just 8 thousandths between them. So we just see some of the GTO drivers coming around right now. That looks to be a very lovely orange car right there, and they're just going to come across the line. It is Javier Del Olmo in the number 6. He'll come across the line right now, takes that pole position by 7 thousandths of a second. Fabian already taken his time there, so that is really good there for Javier as he looks to continue his way in the championship.
Yeah, really close between both the top of the GTPs and the top of the GTOs. You know, it's Red Bull Ring, so you're going to have a little bit of a draft battle going down the pit straight and coming out of turn 1, out of Niki Lauda down towards turn 3 there. So that's 7 thousandths, 8 thousandths. You know these guys are going to be going hard and going side by side into all of those corners.
Yeah, we just see a couple more drivers just finishing up their lap. This is Hideki Kobe Visto coming around turn 6. That's his Roush into turn 7, which is well, he just turned 6. Now he's into turn 7. This is a very tricky corner complex, even with these GTOs. And then as he continues down the order, he hasn't had a very good first lap here. It was a 1:28.203. We know what it's like when it comes to the understeer of these cars around turn 9. That's Rin making sure he doesn't get an off track. I think he's okay as he comes around Red Bull Mobile turn 10. Doesn't use all the runoff there as he will come across the line. That is a 127.789. It's good for P6, but not the pace I was expecting from Decky. I think he's just struggling like some of these drivers, especially with the track here and especially the off tracks.
I think it's interesting. We just got the first lap in from Hugo Leskala, and he's currently in third. Be interesting to see what his second lap is and if he can top Javier for pole position in the GTOs.
I don't think he can. I think he's just weaving. I think he may have just called that. That was his second lap for Yuko, so he will stick there. He matched Fabian. Look, when you look at that, that is true. I know, okay, on the iRacing, it does say they're matching, and of course, thankfully for our towers, we do go a little bit better with the rounding up, so just 1,000 in it, I believe. I'm just checking around. Covivisto is still out there, but he doesn't have another lap. Ove Trengrade is just finishing as well, so that does give us the full lineup as qualifying starts to go. So we'll just run down those lap times and the qualifying results as Hugh Haycock, as we were saying. He does take pole position in the GTPs. Just wait for Zach to get them up. It's just ending, so of course I'm a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, Hugh does take that P1 with Timothy Reed in P2, and then Arto. I'm gonna apologize, Arto. Imraki will take P3. Laus Dolson will be in 4th. Antti Libitista will be 5th, and Jack Wells will take 6th. Mateus Hardval will be 7th, and John Atkinson Jr. will be 8th. Diego Mastretta will be 9th, and Rotaro Positico will take 10th position as we go to the second page. Brian Molitor will start in 11th, with Dustin Herada in 12th, and Martin Krejcik will take 13th. Fabian Youngblood will be 14th. Aitor Sintez Galindo down in 15th, and then Ove Trengarade 16th. Javier Mosquera 17th, and Seamus Power will be 18th.
For the GTOs, we have Javier Del Olmo on pole with a 126.751, and Fabian Scheissig with a 126.758 in second. Amazingly, Yuko Leskala is only 1,000th of a second behind in third place, with Doug Cloud rounding out your second row in 4th. Behind them, we have Reed Miller starting in 5th.
In some respects, we always like to say a smaller field sometimes does provide some better racing. Of course, you do like the bigger field sometimes just for how varied the racing is, but it's a very close field. It's 18 GTPs today, and then the rest of 12 make up the GTOs. It's a very, I would call it a heavy stacked track to line up today. Who are we looking out for, though, Michael? Because I see a couple names, again, Sintes Galindo down the bottom, Trengarade down the bottom, even Hamill Smith in the GTOs down the bottom. So who are we going to be looking out for here?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting kind of mixed up field today. You know, Ove Trengarade is always really fast in a straight line. He's starting 16th in the GTPs with Aitor right in front of him. I think the two of them are definitely going to try to make a run up the field. It'll be interesting to see how well Javier and Fabian can fight against Yuko for the lead in the GTOs, as we see the GTPs coming through the penultimate corner here and just about to take the start.
Yeah, as they come over the hill and down the hill now into turn 10. Hugh's going to be backing them up a little bit. An hour of racing here at the Red Bull Ring will go green very shortly as we wait for Barney to put the flag down. There it goes. We're green flag here. It's a good start for Hugh Haycock. Is there going to be a move here from Arto down into turn 2? Let's just wait to see if we see a move. The very tight turn 1, I beg your pardon, goes in. We don't see anything. It's all 1, 2, 3 at the top. What about those GTOs as the GTPs will make their way down?
Yeah, in the GTOs, we saw Fabian get a really nice jump. Him and Javier went basically at the exact same time, and Fabian moved straight up into first place with Javier following him. But I'm not sure if there was... No, it looks like everybody got through clean. Sorry, I thought I saw somebody going around in the background, but no, as we see them run down to turn 3 and try to get those GTOs slowed down and turned into the corner to get up that camber and shoot down to Schlossgold.
Yeah, well, the GTP, we actually had a spinner, actually. It's a number 10 car. I think the spinner there, we just saw a quick spin, I believe. That's it. That is Otto getting heavy damage, and into the barrier he goes, and then he reverted into the barrier by accident there. Lost the position going down into turn 3 from Laos, as Laos then just takes it on. And that is such a shame there for you. You just see he's trying.
I know that iRacing does allow you to repair quite a bit of this car. It's difficult, though, with the position he's in now, where he's kind of mixed up with the GTO field on the first lap. It's always rough when you have an accident early and you know, are trying to get the comp.
By Laos going into turn 3, they managed to put a 2-second lead on the rest of the field. And there they are, and there's the rest of the field as Laos in his ever. I love this blue and yellow livery that he races, as he's now holding off Jack Wells. And behind you've got Lebitisto and Haval just going side by side behind. It looks like the anti is going to lose it. He actually slides. He slides off there. Can he hold it? He makes contact with one of the drivers, and the drivers are now having to go around, and in goes Ove Trangarade. And that's 4 cars there in the result of that melee. Just losing it there, trying to hold on, fighting that battle.
Yeah, that's too bad. It's so easy to just get the car to just rotate just a little bit too hard into turn 6 there. You know, you're trying to just brush the brakes and get the nose in and get back on the power to really power through what in the English version of the track names is called Power Horse. And it's very, very easy to just have the car over rotate on you, especially in the early laps when the tires are cold.
Yeah, we see a bit of damage on the wing to Anti's car there, to Lebitisto's car. We see a couple of the drivers coming into the pits because of that. Some of them taking quite a head-on result there. Let's just get a quick replay of that accident. You'll see he's trying to defend this on the inside, and he just loses out. There he goes for the slide. That's Rentaro just clipping him. I think Javier Mosquera had to go wide. A couple of drivers have to go wide. There's Javier in the pink car, going very right, and then of course the damage is already done. He tries to spin the car around, and he just takes a full-on hit there, and that is such a shame for what has happened there. And you just see that slow car. He's actually almost getting caught up by the lead GTO battle here with Javier Del Olmo and Fabian Saizek.
Yep, we're looking at them coming through turn 3, which is, like I said, that challenging turn with the changing camber as they run down towards 4 or Schlossgold, which is that downhill braking. I think it'd be interesting to talk to some of the GTO drivers about how much torque split they may have altered today. You know, you really want to get that drive out of the slow corners, and you can alter how much torque is going to the front wheels or the rear wheels in this car. And for turn 3 and turn 4, I can see you really, you know, keeping it at that 60-40 split, but through the Power Horse, with the amount of understeer that the Audi can display, I could also see you dialing it back for a little more rear-wheel drive and helping use that power from that glorious turbo 5-cylinder to get this car rotated.
Well, you could see Fabian was using all of that. He's managed to get a little bit of time coming out of 7 and 8, and you can see how close he is to Javier, and he doesn't have the slipstream needed. Javier goes wide there. Maybe that will give a little move as Fabian starts to look. I think he's going to be a bit too far away. He's just going to hold back. We'll wait and see. It makes you wonder. He knows he's not going to make this move here. He doesn't want to be too aggressive. Is he looking at a fuel save? Because actually, is he very slow? Is that a slowdown from him? It's not. But now he's got Lescula there. He just cooked the sausage there. Lescula may look here. If he lifts, he does. Fuel saving is in effect. Are we looking at just going an extra lap with his fuel saving?
I suppose that's possible. Tire wear isn't really an issue this week for these guys. So, you know, you may be able to get that one extra lap out and overcut him, but it's so hard to do. You know, you want to sit behind the guy, and if you're in a good position, but at the same time for Fabian, he's got Yuko Lescula right behind him, and you know he's not going to hold back. He's immediately going to attack if he gets the chance. I don't think any of them can fuel save to the point where they could try to, you know, no stop this race. You still have 7 or 8 laps at the end on fuel, so you know, I think that's a tough one. I would want to be attacking. I wouldn't want to be attacking into turn 1, but I would want to be attacking into turn 3, unless there was a huge mistake from Javier into turn 1, which I don't think we're going to see.
I don't think we'll see, but he didn't have the best of final turns last lap, and I think he's managed to tidy it up this time. Of course, being on the throttle as much as they are around here, they will have a lot of time, and like we were saying, I don't think you'll be able to no fuel stop this with all this time on the throttle. Around they go into the Niki Lauda curve once again, and he is closer this time as Fabian. He's looking, but the line being taken from Javier, just on a little bit of a defensive line there, keeps it in the middle. He's going to look. It's going to be a late move here, and Fabian realizes there's no point trying to send it. Doesn't want to influence any lockups there. Little touch at the sausage curb. He's just going to continue here, and Lescala also doing the same.
With these guys staying, line astern through the first few corners of the lap, well, actually through multiple laps now, it'll be interesting to see if Reed Miller really catches back up and is able to save a little bit of fuel behind them as well.
Yeah, he matched their time last time by. In fact, the top 4 all identical in times, and he's just a second and a half behind. Maybe he can just find a little bit of time, but Lescala not able to be held, not getting held up here. Everybody just keeping the pace, and you can just see it's not a DRS train around here with these cars. They don't need DRS, but it is a little bit of a train forming, but it's not. No one's getting held up there. Del Olmo doing what he needs, and we know that these top 3, they were separated by the barest of margins in qualifying, and they're just continuing this. Another go around the final turn. It's always interesting to see what happens on that final turn. You're not going to see many moves as they continue to go again. Wouldn't surprise me if this is what we're going to see until the pit stops. In fact, Reed Miller's lost a bit of time this time. So, yeah, let's just hold on a little bit here. I think they realized, let's do the racing once we've done our pit stops.
Yeah, behind them we see Hugh Haycock's just starting to make his way through the Audi field. He's up to about 7th, as Timothy Reed is also kind of getting into that lap traffic as they make their first time past the GTOs. Timothy's in that awkward spot right now that I was talking about, where you got to really time that pass into turn 3 so that you can really keep your apex speed up and get past the Audis quickly, because they really get a launch off that corner nicely, and the GTOs is much more of a dance on the throttle to try to keep the car balanced.
Well, we saw Lars Olsen go by somebody who had a moment. It was Jack Wells. It was Wells. He just had a moment there coming off the exit of turn 3. It just looked like the rear just caught him there, so he's gone down a couple positions, which, especially now we're in traffic, isn't the best as he starts to make moves around, as everybody does. Always treacherous the first time around traffic, and you start to see it. You see that was Olsen and Haval just going tit for tat, as they say, as they try to work their way around. Mateus really wants to hold up here, but look, getting so close to get that behind from Jack Wells, and another contact from Jack Wells, and I don't think Jack was aware of the speed difference there, and that is such a shame for Mateus.
Yeah, I think Jack just got a little bit caught up there by them checking up just a hair between lap traffic and a little bit of a slower apex speed, and he just ran straight into the back of him, unfortunately.
And that is such a shame. And of course, the second hit was not intentional either. It was just one of those things. The path took them there. Mateus, unfortunately, had to take a tow. We're going to see a replay here. This is Jack Wells as he comes around on the throttle. Very weird. The rear tires just spun up there. Obviously, that must be a death moment there. And then here we go. They're fighting hard. They come around. Jack's trying to get past that lap car into turn 9. That's a risky one to try and make a late move into turn 9 there, and I don't think he was able to keep the car under control. He was looking one car ahead, and when you're in multi-class, I think you just got to look at a couple cars ahead there when going for a move.
Yeah, it was, as I said, an unfortunate one. I think he just carried a little bit too much apex speed there trying to get past the Audi, and at that point...
Hugh Haycock's there, currently leading by, that is true, almost 9 seconds up there. It's crazy how much traffic does just swing and flow on this track.
Yeah, it was about 2.4 seconds, 2.5 seconds before they caught traffic the first time, and then, we see it expanded out to 5.2 now. I think that Timothy getting caught up a little bit on that apex at turn 3 and getting slowed down there hurt a little bit, as well as when he got down to Schlossgold turn 4. It was a little difficult there, as we see 2 of the GTPs going side by side through turn 6.
Yeah, we see that's Fabian Youngblood going side by side with Sintez Galindo, and he makes that move work out there, and they've got a couple of GTOs coming around beside them. They'll go around as well. There's also, you've got a couple behind. Is there going to be a bookmark here? It's going to be a late move for Sintez Galindo. He does make it, and then they get held up by Del Olmo. Is there going to be what I call the bookmark? That's a late lunge there.
That was close.
Sintez Galindo, that was very close. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of damage on Javier's card there. Fabian's not going to take advantage of this, very wisely, but that is the nature of the track. I talk about this, Michael, I talk about this called the bookmarking effect. You put a slower car in between you and the opponent. They're just trying to beat that out right now and make sure that doesn't happen. And again, we go out to traffic, that's going to happen.
Yeah, oh, we see a couple GTPs spun around. Oh, what a big accident.
I think that is 3 cars off there, and it's actually changed the lead of the GTOs. I believe that was Molitor there. Molitor on another car. Have to look at that as well, but you've now got 3 of the lead GTOs just in a little bit of a hoo-ha-ha right now, and is Fabian going to try and go around the outside of Leskola? No, he can't make it. Leskola will hold on to what is now his lead after all that, because Javier Del Olmo had to go around the outside to avoid that incident there. I think that was just another one. We'll get that replay very shortly. I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of those turn-free moments where a car just tries to make the move, and we know it's very tight. In fact, here we go with that move right now. Is he just going to go for it? No, it's actually a difference in speed, and these cars are very fragile when it comes to touching, and just one tap and they both do the pirouette and then a flip. Do a kick flip. He does.
Try to do that Colin McRae trick. You roll the car and just keep on going. Unfortunately, it was from a little bit of a tap behind, just trying to maximize speed. We're going to see the replay here from Yuko Leskola's car and how he got the lead in the GTO class, as we see the GTPs in front with the tire smoke and kind of an accident going here, and he just tucks it inside, jumps the curb, and absolutely sends it down the inside of the other 2 GTOs in front of him, and just tries to hold on for the lead here as they enter down into Schlossgold. What a nice heads-up move.
I love how he goes wide into the corner. So he's got that decision. Do I go around them like Javier had done, or is there a gap there? Can I shoot the gap? He's given himself all the options with that one movement there, and that is really heads-up play there from Leskola, and that's given him the lead. And it'll be interesting to see, does he pull away, because they are still together, these 3. But is that going to allow him to pull away? Again, these 3 have been practically level on the times here today, so I wouldn't put it past him to pull away. But again, we talk about the traffic working for the faster classes. Traffic can hinder the slower classes.
Yeah, absolutely. As we talked about, especially with that drive off the slower corners the GTOs can get, you can get a point where some of the GTPs get a little bit loose going through those slower corners, and the GTO has a much faster drive, as we see one of the GTPs dive into the pits there. We're lap 12 now for the class leader in GTP, so we're actually in the window where you could come in and pit and make it to the end of the race as a GTP. They basically need to make it past lap 9, and you could come in and try to take repairs and full fuel and get some tires and try to make it to the end. It'll be difficult, especially with the repairs that you have to take, but it's certainly doable.
Yeah, that was Anthony Levitis going into the pits. We saw he did have some wing damage. We'll have a different GTO battle here. That is Reed Miller in the front up against Ian Haycox, not Hugh. Hugh's currently leading the GTPs. And these 2 have been close together. There is Ian. We do have the pedal cam there. I just didn't see that in the corner there. I'm fascinated here how he does this with the 1 foot. As we all know, he had an accident earlier in the year, and it's amazing how he's able to go, and it's so fun just watching him just drive here. It's fascinating to see all the different ways people can drive nowadays in the sim.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive, and really big props to him for sticking with it and still being so incredibly fast. I mean, I talked about a little bit with you before broadcast about, complaining that I had to recalibrate my pedals, and I'm like, he's got to recalibrate not only his pedals but his brain to be able to do all those different functions in such a different way, and to still be so fast is really just so impressive.
It is one of those things. It reminds me of the Def Leppard drummer when he lost his arm. He had to completely retrain how to play songs, and he did it just like that. And Ian has done that himself. It's so good to just see that going, and he's really there. He's on the back of Reed Miller. He is looking for a P4, clips the curb a little bit there. He might be playing the long game as well as they come down. The slipstream is not as strong as you would expect in these cars, so that is not helping him at the moment. Does he look for it, though? He's got a bit of a run. He's got to pull to the side, but he realizes that's going to be a lunge. Keeps it safe, and he does not want to add to the list of incidents we've seen so far up that corner. But at the moment, knock on wood, it's been pretty clean for the GTOs.
It's such a challenging corner, turn 3. I mean, I know I've said it twice already, but that change in camber really does catch you out. You know, defending to the inside there seems like the right move as you're approaching the corner, but if the person who's attacking you just ever so slightly pinches you down just a little bit harder on turn-in, you know, just prior to the apex, it's almost impossible to get the nose in and get the power down. You can pick one, but you can't have both.
Well, another car comes into the pits, and straight away on the jacks they go. We were just seeing that battle, that close battle. Here it is again with Fabian Zizek and Ilko Aleskala. As again, Fabian, the end part of this track he's really confident with. Aleskala we saw going a little bit wide into turn 6. The rest of the track, and that is a slow car. That is Javier Mosquera, who is still going after everything that has happened. I think, again, I mean, we constantly talk about turn 3, sorry, and just the throttle there. Michael, I mean, you know more about these car setups than I do. As we just quickly see another battle, and it's not going to happen. The differential must be hard to set up on these cars.
Yeah, the GTPs require a little more preload than you would think, you know, just judging from other cars on iRacing. But it's got that old school kind of 80s. We weren't exactly perfect on the mechanical engineering for it. It's so fun though, but you really need to add a little bit of preload to the GTP diff to kind of get it to be stable coming out of turn 3. And that'll help you as well when you get down, like we're seeing Hugh now coming into Power Horse, to get the car rotated, but also to get it to stop rotating as you try to get corner exit and get on the power. Now, we talk about the number one, a lot of people talk about the number one rule in racing is don't wreck your teammate, but I think as we see Hugh go past Ian there, the number one rule in racing is really don't wreck your family members.
I would not want to be at the dinner table after this race if anything like that happened. That would, I'm only joking, I'm sure they've got a nice family thing. As he has a little bit of a look at that wiggle around the final corner there, as you can just see how good it is. He'll be coming up, which is really interesting for Hugh, he'll be coming up now to the top 3 in the GTOs. Does he get past all of them? It'd be interesting. The time difference between the classes is just over 10 seconds. It's around 9 to 11 seconds, and he makes that with no issues, making sure he doesn't affect any of the drivers. And you start to see Leskala still unable to make the pull away. And just look at that there. That is Seamus Power in that GTP going by. Will he do it, or will he just slot himself in? He's going to go for the move. That's what you want to see. You want to see the drivers get away and keep the battles going. The last thing you want if you're in that battle for the GTO is to see a GTP between you and the man you want to get past.
Yeah, the timing for those 3, well, especially for Leskala, worked out really nicely with Haycox coming through, because he was able to just get that little bit of a draft between turn 3 and turn 4 on the way down to Schlossgold and just eke out that slightest little tenth of a second that helps him stay on it. As we see Javier De Olmo really getting ready to attack here, but unfortunately Timothy Reed comes through and all 3 of the GTO leaders get just a little bit checked up.
Yeah, for a moment there, I would have thought Javier would have had a run there, but Leskala managed just to get the line back in, and Olmo giving him the respect that is deserved. Again, puts his car just a little bit forward. I don't think that's him saying, I'm looking at a move. That's him saying, I want to make sure that if I hit you, I'm not going to hit the front and we're not going to have a big moment. Again, the gap there, 0.2 of a second as they come down here. This might be the time for Javier to look at a move. He's got a little bit of an overlap. He doesn't have a full overlap, but he's going to force Leskala to go wide, even with that small bit there. But because of the lines, he is unable to make any move. Is there going to be another response down into turn 4? I think it is true. Javier's just going to hold on yet again. Oh, say that, and then look what happened there.
It was a nice look, but I think he realized about halfway into the braking zone there that he did not quite have the depth to get down there, get the, you know, his rear across and really make sure Doug doesn't get that nose inside and force him wide. It's very, very close between these two. It's one of those times you hear people complain about iRacing netcode from time to time, but this is one of those times where you say, man, that looks really good. These two are really able to race closely, race hard, and as we see Doug taking a look into turn 1.
Yeah, he makes a look into turn one. Hideki Kovivisto decided, I'm going to take the pit. I don't want to be any part of this battle right now when we're 34 minutes to go. That's a good move from Hideki Kovivisto. We will keep an eye on what he does because that could be crucial. With these two battling, that pit stop could give him the lead. Doug goes a little bit too wide. They're trying to hold on. Manages to keep that position. I think he's looking for that wider line we've been talking about. Holds on to it, and I think because of that little slip up
for Hideki really pay off. You know, you've got these two fighting. They've been fighting for multiple corners. Doug's pulled out a little bit of a gap, but you know, you come in, you get your fueling done, come back out and try to turn in some fast laps and hopefully jump these guys when they come back into the pits.
The key thing for him will be, does it work? Does that work? Does Doug pull away? That is what we've got to look at. I mean, in terms of people pulling away, well, no one pulling away in this lead battle. Apart from Leskola is going to get an advantage with that GTP, that pink GTP of Javier Mascara, just causing a little bit of a blockade for Del Olmo and Saizeg, but able to hold back. And with the slipstream, I can't see these guys having any issues. A lock up there, you just see a little bit of smoke there from Leskola. Continues to get by, but how strong are these drivers? They've managed to pull 7 seconds away from the rest of the field, and again, it wasn't such a one-sided field. It was a very competitive field in the GTOs.
Yeah, we've only got Timothy got caught up a little bit. You know, as Hugh made it through on Doug Cloud and Mark there, they once again got really, really close. I actually think there was a little bit of a touch coming out of turn 7, maybe going into turn 8 or turn 9, just trying to maximize that exit and maybe use the GTP for a little bit of draft and maybe a little bit of pick to keep the person offline. But, you know, those two have really been slugging it out as we see Hugh coming down through turn 4 and trying to get that exit all the way out towards that gravel there and make sure he gets a good run coming back on Ian.
Oh, he gets held up, and this is the tough part here. Is not only is he now getting past GTOs, he's getting past the GTPs that have probably suffered damage or probably just had, you know, just off the pace a little bit with a spin or something. So he's going past now the slower of the cars, not by pace, but just literally just by damage. And he's having to go through them there, and it almost caused a little bit of a backup there for that little battle. There was a battle for P6 there between Molitor and Sintes Galindo. Sorry, no, that's a battle in the GTPs, and then also in the GTOs, he had a battle between Reed Miller and Ian Haycox, as those two did get going, and I think Reed Miller might have just taken a little bit of damage there to the side, I believe that was. Does this allow Ian Haycox to make a move? I don't think so. Again, these two are yet to pit, so do you wait your moment? Ian said.
Slow down. So, you know, got a little lucky there. It's so easy when you get over that sausage to just say, you know what, I'm not going to risk death. I'm just going to open the wheel up and just stand on the throttle and make sure I get a good run. And with the way the slowdown set on the outside of turn 1 there for the penalty, it's really easy to just end up a little bit too wide, and suddenly you're going into turn 3 going, oh man, I got to give up 1.3 seconds, and you've just ruined your battle with the guy behind you.
Yeah, not to mention as well, especially when you've got that long straight, it is actually hard to just gain on that straight any time if you lose it. So sometimes some drivers will look to brake early into the corner to try and get that position back, but other drivers, they just decide to serve it right away. We're past the halfway mark of the race. It does not feel like we've had 30 minutes here, and still the top 9 in GTO yet to pit, the top 5 in GTP yet to pit. As you see, Del Olmo is trying to catch up to the back of Leskola. That gap now 7/10, and it's been that way since that traffic. And Del Olmo goes wide, but at the same time, Fabian follows him, and you'll see as he just comes over the hill, Fabian did have to take a little ride of the sausage on turn 3.
Yeah, thankfully the turn 3 sausage isn't that bad. You can kind of run on it with your tire and even a little bit get an underbody scrape on it and be okay. I don't personally find it to be as bad as the turn 1 sausage, where turn 1, I've got the chassis just loaded up so hard as I turn in there, and you end up with the car spinning the rear tires, and you end up basically in the pit entry on your right side with the car smashed into the barrier.
Yeah, well, we have seen that as well. We've seen a bit of times trying to trickle down here. Hugh losing 3 seconds the previous lap, not the lap he just did, to Timothy. And it's not been another good lap for him either, as he's been held up with traffic. So that 5-second gap, it's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit of bad traffic. It's ebbs and flows, but it's always important to see, is this a lingering effect here? What has happened to Hugh to lose a little bit of time? And as he comes down, I thought I saw some scraping on the side of that car. There was nothing. He's doing okay. Right behind him, though, side by side, is Sintes Galindo and Molotov. And they're having a little bit of a battle, and oh! And Sintes Galindo does get by, and a little bit of a tap there. I don't think it was due to driver there, but he tried to get around Sintes Galindo, and unfortunately just was unable to, and a little tap just sent him around.
Yeah, the car was really starting to rotate there for Brian already. He touched the inside curb at 4, which you try to use for rotation in a lot of cars, but if you get it just a little bit wrong when you're battling somebody and you're a little bit too deep on the brakes, which he may have been, it can really rotate there a little too much, as we saw. And then you try to catch it, and with somebody on the outside and you're rear rotating, it's so easy to just end up with that little bit of a tap and you're in a spin. Unfortunate for him, but a challenging corner to go side by side, especially with that downhill braking zone.
Yeah, we've seen it in the real world as well, that if you go side by side, you've got to give the respect, and it is so hard to give the respect that you want there. So that is unfortunate. I've just noticed in my HUD that Lescala has gone into the pits there. He was leading the GTOs, would take to the pits first. Normally, you'd think about the back guy taking the pits, and Lescala wasn't the lead car for the whole of the race so far, so he would have saved some fuel. So I'm interested why he would have taken to the pits first.
It's possible he saw something in the traffic that he didn't like. They were maybe they were coming up on a car. I didn't quite notice where he was track position and strategy wise, but you know, he may have wanted to just jump out and make sure these guys weren't going to get his draft and he wasn't going to get caught in traffic and possibly end up swapping positions earlier than...
Because Fabian took the fastest lap in the GTOs last time by 1:26.543, and if he continues this way, he will probably get another fast lap. I mean, one thing I've been meaning to talk about is this pit lane, because you see the pit lane where it is, and it's not a simple pit lane. At the pit lane entry, you almost have to take the same as the line that you would take for the racing line, but you've got to be slower. You cannot go off wide and go back in. You will get a black flag for an improper pit entry. So these cars, it's one of the challenges they've got here is not just getting into that pit lane at decent speed, it's getting in smarter. And if, you know, we go back to Lescala taking it, Lescala taking the early pit stop, he was the guy in the lead. He had a second lead over the rest of them due to traffic. Had he been right behind everybody, having to take that corner slow, that would have been an issue. If he took that corner slow, they may not have known he was pitting, and that could have been a little bit of an incident if that happened.
Yeah, it's always a risk there, trying to get out and get that wide line and then bring it back and not take the penalty and make sure you have a fast entry into the pits. The other one that can sometimes catch you out, especially here at Red Bull Ring, is where the pit speed limit line on exit is. You can get a nice run up to the inside of corner 1, but the pit entry doesn't dump you into the entry of turn 1. It dumps you into the pit exit. It dumps you into the exit of pit 1. And there's this hard, Armco wall there at the end that's this tight first gear corner. And it's really easy to come down to that. And
not in a race. I mean, there's still time for that. But I have done that in practice, and I think we've all done that in practice. So
absolutely.
If there's someone that's going to say, I haven't done it, I would like to see your history, because we've all done something like that as Fabian continues to hold on behind. It's interesting, though, when you look where Cubby Visto is, he's only 56 seconds behind everybody. And so it just goes to show you the speed difference going in and out of that pit lane and in the pit box itself, as Hugh continues to go faster and faster. That is a 1:60.069, and I don't think anyone's actually gone that fast so far. So Hugh really in a league of his own. And I mean, where's the traffic around him? It's very quiet there on the western front for him. Just gets held up there by one car, but apart from that, he's had it all his way.
Yeah, I don't want to put the commentator's curse on anyone, but Hugh is really having a nice, clean run here. Just kind of got into a rhythm, got into the zone, and is just clicking off nice lap after nice lap. Doing a great job with traffic management, really maintaining those apex speeds, and is just kind of out there on his own in his own zone, just going, all right, let's go. Let's see what you got.
Let's see what you've got indeed. And if he's starting to get those type of times, that's an indication of it's time that he's looking at a pit stop. Ian Haycox in P4 comes into the pits. Just to give you a rundown as Hugh starts to go around. Does he dive into the pit this time? Not yet. As he comes by, as we start to see now that some of the drivers starting to consider the pit. I believe 6 drivers in the GTO still to pit. When it comes to the GTPs, it is still the top 5. I mean, again, you've got a better idea. When are we expecting to see these drivers come into the pit? Because, like we were saying, you can't no-stop this race. So, are we looking at a pit stop in the next 5 minutes?
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, we're on lap 31 right now. We're minute 39. So. You got about 20 minutes of the race left, and I think it's about a 46-lap race for the GTPs. And you can come in lap 38, lap 39 at the absolute latest. So, sometime in the next 6 or 7 laps, we're going to see Hugh dive into the pits and do a bit of a splash and dash to the end here. Whether or not he takes tires depends on how he's feeling. I don't think tire wear is particularly bad at Red Bull Ring. But, he's got enough of a lead where he can kind of afford to come in and take that extra, second or two while he's taking a splash of fuel and come out on fresh tires and, really just throw in a fastest lap after fastest lap on fresh tires and low fuel. So it'll be interesting to see if he takes the tires. I know some of these guys prefer to save that extra couple of seconds and make sure they get out and have a little less lap traffic to deal with. But he's got a nice lead over Timothy. So if it were me, I would certainly consider taking tires.
You do it that time, but on a short pit stop like this, a splash and dash, yes, you've got to start considering maybe I don't take those tires. Not that it will affect them. So some of those drivers at the back, so like the Sintet Galindos and the Molitor's taking early pit stop, they will be looking at that. Some of these drivers in the GTOs, though, will probably be looking at it themselves. As still we see Fabian trying to just stay behind with Javier de Olmo and keep loving seeing that. And now in comes the number 9 of Fabian Youngblood. He goes into the pits. He takes tires. Up he goes. And down he goes. Wait for it. Wait for the suspense. Wait for the suspense. He goes down. But this isn't a Formula 1 pit stop for sure. There he goes. He goes down now. He takes a little bit more fuel. He goes for that little splash and dash. And he was in a battle with, I think it was Laus Olsen at one stage. So he will look to see if that can go. And there we go. Into the 15s, we finally see Hugh Haycox as Timothy Reed comes into the pits, as does Reed Miller.
Interesting. Reed's up 2 positions, was up 2 positions before his pit stop. Had made it up into 3rd place. Granted, one of those was, from Yuko Leskala pitting. So it'll be interesting to see if Reed can come back out and turn some fast laps. As we talk, a little bit of a better chance. We're locked into a tight fight. Maybe Youngblood or Mosquera or Sintes Galindo who say, you know what, I'm willing to risk that little bit of extra tire wear as we see Hugh coming straight into the pits. And say, you know what, I'm willing to risk that little bit of tire wear extra, and I think that 3 or 4 seconds that I might make up on my splash and dash by not taking tires is worth it to me.
Yep, we'll go to see what he decides to do with that time. He had quite a bit of time in the lead, so does he go up on the jacks? He does indeed, and I won't start doing any suspense of when he goes down this time. We wait to see what he does. Laus Olsen came out, by the way, 12 seconds ahead of Fabian Youngblood, so what was a battle earlier in the race is not a battle now as we head into the unknown zone, really. These drivers do 60-minute races all the time in the series every season, but of course if you're not used to this race being 60 minutes, now you're into that territory, the final 20. Do you have that patience? This is where you can just lose a little bit of concentration now at this period of the race where if you're not careful, one mistake could be it. You don't want a mistake now, as a lot of these drivers will be taking it very calmly into the final time of this race. So I was just looking as well because Del Olmo has yet to pit. Lescala is 3 seconds ahead of Fabian after the pit stops. So I'm wrong. He's extended that lead to Fabian by a second, Michael.
Yeah, that early pit stop really looked like it paid off. When he came out of the pits, he had really nice clear track in front of him. And he was up, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10 every single lap on the two guys in front of him that he had been battling. So I really think that was a really smart choice to come in and get that clear track and just get into a rhythm and put down some just fast laps.
But interesting still, Javier is yet. And
this track has a lot of wide open time. So he's going to have that throttle open, and that 5-cylinder turbo is going to be thirsty as it makes that wonderful, brutal scream that sounds like half of a V10 on all these long straightaways. And yeah, you can't no-stop this race. I don't think anybody can in the configuration these cars are currently set up at. So he's on lap 32 right now. I don't expect to see him to go any longer than lap 35, 36, 35 or 36. So in the next 3 to 4 laps, I expect we'll see him dive into the pits.
Oh, we saw, as that was happening, we saw Brian get that position back on Martin. And we thought there might have been a response there from Martin, was unable to, and then getting held up there by lap traffic. And that has brought Seamus Power into this little battle here. It's an elongated train for 7th position between these 3 cars, but we're seeing Javier Mosquera. He comes in. He's the last of the GTPs.
Oh, he's got big damage on the left side there.
He does have big damage. Was that from earlier in the race, I wonder? Because I don't see his times going down. I know he got caught up in that incident earlier in the race with Antti. So that might have been that there. Is Javier just having a bit of fun there?
I am not sure. I honestly, I didn't catch that. I was trying to look at his lap times and see where that damage came from, if it was something recent or if it was part of that earlier incident, as you said. And I did not see him leave the pit. So I can't tell you if your eyes were playing tricks on you or if Javier is playing a trick on you.
I mean, we are talking about Javier. That is something he does do. I do love the man, in all due fairness. So he did actually have to reverse into his box, and I think then what happened was he was still in reverse. So it wasn't him playing a trick; it was just a bit of a mistake there, as I'm being informed. So that is what's happened to him.
Craig, when you consider the amount of damage on his car, prior to his pit stop, he was still up 13 places, and I think most of the race he had been up double-digit numbers, either 10, 11, or 12. So it's one of those days where you wonder what could have been if he hadn't taken that significant damage to the left side of the car.
Yeah, that one incident was such a shame to see. That was one of those incidents. We had 2 incidents that did, early in the race, just hold people off because they were on the exit apexes of the corners there, and it was such a shame to see. So what could have been for Javier, but we still see, in terms of big movers, Seamus Power making 10 positions up, Aitor Sintes Galindo making 10 up, Fabian Youngblood making 10 up himself. So double digits for some of these drivers. And we were talking as well to start the race. Some of these drivers, Sintes Galindo as well, not getting the best of qualifying. As I got to interrupt myself, Del Olmo is in the pits. This is going to be close. 10 seconds is the gap now to Lescala. He doesn't take any tires. We're going to have to pause a dramatic effect. He starts to move out of the box. He'll come around that corner. It's not going to be enough. Lescala is going to take the lead. Fabian's going to get this. All of a sudden, where has Javier lost all this time? Surely not, because he's even going to be in a battle. He's not even going to be in a battle with Fabian. What has happened there to Javier?
I'm not a bit relaxed after the other 2 had pulled off and the lap time delta just fell off a little bit. I think he's still close enough here to get a little bit of a draft from Fabian, and hopefully the 2 of them can, pull themselves back up to the back of Lescala. But for me, with, a limited amount of time remaining in the race, if I'm getting up...
Just pull him back off there. So that, unfortunately, He's going to have to rely on the pace now as we've got a spinner. That is car number 12. That is Timothy Reed. Where is Timothy Reed? That is the line to the national circuit. And he's had to tow. Is he out of... He can't be out of fuel with 10 minutes to go. What has happened to Timothy Reed? I think we're going to have to try and get a replay. Here we go with the replay. Surely there is no damage. He comes around into turn 1.
Oh, it just blows his engine.
It's an engine. Oh, no.
I wonder if he just debounced the shift a little bit and just went down one gear too many there. That's a shame. You know, he had a nice run. He was in position for a podium, and as we see him approach turn 1 here, and oh yeah, just pops it on the downshift. That's too bad.
Yeah. You can see it. You can just see it as the reds just completely just go way too low from what he needed there, and unfortunately, he is off and had the mind to use the national layout there to just make that move on. Now, this is something we haven't seen, but that is Seamus Power getting past Martin Krajcik there as he makes a move up into P7. In front of them is Sintes Galindo and Molitor, so we do have battles going on. Look at that, 2 little battles there in the GTPs. After what was a quiet start to this race, with less than 9 minutes left, it is all kicking off in the midfield for the GTPs. But again, with that issue there for Timothy, unfortunately, that means that Laust is now going to take P2 at the moment. But that gap, that's not a typo, that's not an issue. That is a 48-second gap to Hugh Haycock.
Just a dominant performance. You know, I really like Aitor's paint. I always like blue, white, orange, all mixed together. I think the spec mapping on it's done really nicely. But man, if seeing Brian's Spice Chevy scheme on that Nissan doesn't look good, takes you back to the, you know, IMSA GTP days of the 80s. And I've watched that car run a lot at historic racing over the years. And I love that paint scheme. It just looks so good.
It's looking good. Is he going to look good for a move here? He's going to have to hold off. But he does go, and oh, you can see Sintes Galindo slowed down more than Brian was expecting. That holds him up a little bit. I think Aitor wasn't expecting a slow GTO there, and that's going to put a gap in there. That brings Seamus Power into the fold. Just as we just continue to see, it is all kicking off. With 7 minutes left in the race now, and while I was going to say there is no GTO battles, the lap traffic here with Aitor and Brian and then Seamus, we may see a lead battle again, the GTOs.
Yeah, very well may. You know, it was funny. The beginning of the race really was a story of the GTOs as the GTPs got pretty spread out. And after the pit stops here, we've kind of gone the other directions. The GTOs have really kind of gapped away from each other, and the GTPs have gotten packed back up, and now we're seeing quite a fight between them again.
Yeah, we're seeing the battle from the GTPs as we start to see that two beautiful liveries there. Sintes Galindo and Molitor. Seamus Power just in the background. He doesn't have the ringside seats he wants for that battle for P4, but he's trying to trade his tickets up to go to the ringside. He continues to see these lovely throwback liveries. I mean, I did make one of these liveries in the series, not in this race today, but you've got to love the retro style of these liveries that the drivers do make. As Molitor, when does he go for the move? He can see on the relative that he's got a lap until he hits traffic again. What can he do? Seamus will see that as well. He's got a lap. He's got to be careful that Hugh comes by to lap him. And again, we got to talk about it. Hugh's going to be lapping almost the entire field. The top 5 will be the only drivers on the lead lap. That has been
the 6th, 5th, and 4th in class. I mean, if that's not a dominant performance, I don't know what is. And while these guys are going to fight it out and fight it out hard, you know, they've got to be aware that the leader is coming up behind them, and it's going to be tricky to let him through and not screw up your own battle. You know, you don't ever want to be the guy that holds up the leader, but you're also in a fight here, and you're in a fight to the end with 5 minutes to go. So it's going to be hard fought. But you know, Hugh's certainly not going to be looking to just sit there and wait.
He might have to at the moment. He's got the lead and he sees what's going on. Molitor made the move into turn 1. Out the final corner, sorry. They went too hot into turn 1, and Sintes Galindo gets it back, and Seamus Power now on the tail. And there you see There's Hugh Haycox right behind. He's not going to go for any crazy moves. He's just going to wait his time. It wouldn't be surprised if he looks to try and do this on the straight or just not wanting to hold up this battle. I think he realizes how important this is. He could almost afford to stay behind everybody. That is what Hugh,
Yeah, he's got a 53, 56-second lead to allow us he can afford to sit there and pick his way through when he has a chance. He doesn't need to force it. You know, it's a matter of just relaxing at this point and going, look at these three. They're, you know, nose to tail. I can afford to wait. So I think he's going to wait.
There was no point defending, and that just got everybody a little bit out of shape there. Hugh does come by now. Seamus will give that position away, that track position away to Hugh. Hugh didn't really want to take that, but with what happened, I don't really think he had much of a choice in the matter there. It's just a bit of a shame there for Seamus. Can he use this now to try and catch up to the rest of the drivers?
Yeah, he's going to need Hugh to try to get through on Brian and on Aitor because, you know, then Power can follow Hugh up. He can use his draft, and he can also use them potentially moving offline to try to make sure he's still in the fight to potentially get 4th position or 5th position.
Or even more, you think about it, he could even use Hugh to even make the position if he's so close. Follow him through, but it's not happening at the moment. Hugh getting oh so close, but again, he realizes the situation. This is respectful driving here from the leader of the race, and I love to see it. When you think of the blue flag rules, you see this and you don't go for it. Is there going to be a move here with 3 minutes left in the race? Does Molitor go for this move? He overshot it last time he tried this. Side by side into turn 1. They both got a turn at one stage, and they are side by side, and they continue to be side by side. But the pull-off there, Aitor does get the throttle. Again, wait to see what happens here. This is going to be very touch and go with black traffic. Molitor will have to yield at this point. And will they get past both of these GTOs? He does not at a touch. And there is nothing they could do. And Seamus does catch on there to Molitor.
Thankfully for Hugh there, he was on the outside and just kind of snuck past as the two of them unfortunately made contact.
And I believe that is also, that is Molitor having a tow there. Nothing he could have done. They were both trying to find the positions. And of course, they had to slot in between two GTOs, and there was nothing there. And again, you see, Hugh lost a lot of time there, but again, that is the respect of just playing it safe. We could have been talking about the leader in an accident there, but had he gone for any of those moves, he would have been in that accident. So that is very good heads-up racing by the drivers there. As we've got 1:54 left, I think. I'm just going to check where Hugh is. Yeah, we're going to have 2 more laps, I think, and we're going to see this replay again. This is all about the speed difference, Michael.
Yeah, they get just a little bit pinched down there. You know, you're trying to take that inside line and make sure you get by the GTOs cleanly. And Power had a little bit of a run there from the draft. And he tried to maximize it on corner exit, and just that little bit of a slowdown on the apex from the 2 guys in front of him just meant that he got a little bit deep there and unfortunately tapped them from behind.
Well, we may not have many battles in the GTP anymore, but the lead 3 in the GTO, they are back together. I think we might be able to get a camera on them soon enough. There we go. Lescala is just a second ahead of Fabian, but Del Olmo has managed to catch on here. They will go another lap around with the position of where Hugh is. So is there going to be any swan song here? Is that a slowdown for Fabian? I think it might be Fabian slow. What has happened there to Fabian?
Yeah, it looked like it might have been. I mean, Del Olmo's been putting in really, really nice laps, so I'm sure the pressure was on with Fabian. Del Olmo's been taking 2/10 out of him basically since he came out of the pits. But yeah, that certainly looked like a lift and a slowdown there. I don't think it was fuel. I'll have to check turn 1 and see if he got a slowdown there. But yeah, just gets the pass done, and hopefully now they're going to fight back up to Yuko.
That might be what they're doing. You do see the final lap on the top of the screen as Hugh Haycox is taking that there. He's already taken the white flag, and he's almost halfway through the track when you think about it. He's just at T3 as the drivers continue along, and they will just see if there's going to be a move. Not going to be a move here. Turn 9 is risky. It's very risky here for the drivers. I don't see it yet. This is very close. The top three once again. That's a slow car. Hang on 1 second. Is that what I think it is?
Incident limit?
In the pits?
Is that an incident limit? Is that a penalty?
It's not a penalty. He's out of fuel. He is out of fuel. Leskola did not fuel enough. He thought it was going to go 1 lap less. But the pace of Hugh Haycock, as he's got a couple corners left to go, that is the difference. This difference here, he is able to extend this 1 more lap, and it's been dominance from Hugh Haycock today. He will take the victory in the GTP. He takes a little bit of a slide to celebrate there, but that is big. That has happened there. So we've got this battle now with the GTPs. We've got to go back to them. Del Olmo and Fabian Sisek are side by side. Is there going to be a move here? Del Olmo defends on the inside. Fabian's have to go around the outside. He's going to try around the outside. He is almost there. And then side by side still. Now can he hold on to this? He can't hold on. Is there going to be a move into 6? There isn't. Hold on, Michael. I think we're going to see a little bit of fireworks at the end here.
And I'm going to ride around
my animal signal.
All right, Mick, how's it going?
Back and forth through the race the entire day. In 5th is Yuko Leskola, as we discussed, looked like maybe was out of fuel and then took a pit penalty for maybe speeding. In 6th, we have Hideki Koivisto, a lap down, followed by Doug Cloud, Yuri Gizin, Mark Allais, and in 10th, Jamie Hamill-Smith. TO's finished. There was a little bit of damage through the field, but I think
here. Did you actually find it pretty good? I mean, I know you said at the end you weren't having it bad, but did you find it pretty good? Not just the GTO traffic, but also the lap GTP traffic, because you basically lapped everybody. Was that harder to get by, or was it just identical? Because we saw you being patient behind the lead GTO battle.
Yeah, I try and not, if I have a gap, I try and not disturb battles. It's hard sometimes because a gap can disappear very quickly. But, sometimes you have to be a bit my dad, which was a bit with in there for, I think it was 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. Are you fine? Thank you, Lust. Have a nice day.
Back and always Dougie. So make sure to check out all of our social medias, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do not miss any moment here on the GSRC. As we were saying, it's Summit Point next week, same time, October the 22nd. Don't forget to check out all these other broadcasts. Look at it, Sunday's Drivers' Cup is coming up as well.